GFTU General Secretary Doug Nicholls, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Let's start with the Turkey's occupation attacks to Kurdistan. Turkey has recently begun another military operation against the PKK in the northern Iraq. At the same time, Turkey continues making threats about invading further into the Kurdish majority areas of North and East Syria. What do you think is the aim of the Turkish government, domestic and foreign policy in the region?
Well, you never know what the real motivation of genocide is, do you? It's a terrible and a frightening thing. The world has heard about the situation being confronted by the Palestinian people, but they've not heard so much about what's now again happening to the Kurdish people in terms of what you can only describe it really as a kind of genocide, I'm afraid. And it's I hope that more people will look at the publicity around this and look at exactly what's happening when a state seeks to wipe out racial and political opposition. Most tragic international consequences always follow. So we'd encourage people to look at what's happening, and once they've looked at it, to ensure that they make representations politically that get back to Turkey pretty quick, that this is unacceptable behavior.
You have a meeting with Hişyar Ozsoy and some other HDP representatives on 16th of June at 6:30. First of all, why did you organize that meeting, that special meeting? And then what do you targeting with that meeting? We're gonna hear the details from you about the meeting.
Thanks. Yes, well, we've been lucky enough as an organisation to have colleagues from the HDP, several MPs, attend our conferences over the last 6 years. And they've been able to tell us very accurately and very movingly about what has been happening. And so we were impressed by them and the truthfulness of their stories, and of the work that the HDP was doing to try and bring a greater sense of democracy and peace to Turkey. So we were horrified when we learnt recently that the HDP, which seems to us to be a very progressive and democratic party that has won its representation in Parliament through the ballot box and so on, we were absolutely horrified when we learnt that the Turkish state was seeking to ban them and was making life for many of their MPs and their elected mayors impossible, and getting rid of them from office and so on. So we thought that it was time to give our friends in the HDP an opportunity to tell us what's going on in this even worse situation that they now confront. So that's why we thought we'd organise a webinar on the 16th of June at 6:30, and people can contact the GFTU for details of that. So I hope people would join us. It's an educational event just to update people on what's happening to the HDP, to the Kurdish people, and to progressive people in Turkey generally.
What do you consider to be the significance of the HDP in Turkey? Do you think Turkey is a democratic country? As you keep in touch with HDP foreign department as well, you get updates from there, and then the attacks to HDP and the Kobani trial is on agenda as well. So what would you like to say about the position of the HDP in Turkey?
Well, it does frighten me, because if you read history where parliamentary parties have been banned and elected representatives have been imprisoned and all of that, you look at the history of the fascist countries. Simple as that, isn't it? That authoritarian regimes seek through violence and other undemocratic means to silence, suppress and kill the opposition. And that's what it seems to me is happening to the HDP and to the Kurdish people and many other progressive people, trade unionists, human rights activists and lawyers and civil servants and teachers and so on in Turkey. I mean, it's a situation that has to be brought to the attention of the world, just as in previous decades in the 1930s, progressive people had to alert the world to what was happening in Germany.
How do you think international organizations and specifically the UK trade unions can act to pressure their own governments and support the HDP, as you are very highly experienced trade unionist and you have close relations with HDP? You can emphasize with the HDP MPs in Turkey, trade unionists in Turkey as well. They are under attack and under pressure as well. So international organizations, what they need to do in that case to support the people under attack who are under attack in Turkey?
Well, you're right. There's a lot of international trade union and other links that now need to come into much more activity to understand this issue and to protest strongly against the Kurdish government, and the UN needs to come into play, and the EU needs to be more assertive. We've just been signatory to a very substantial letter to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in the UK to get them to see that there needs to be action taken against this really extremely frightening and undemocratic set of developments in Turkey. So it's a question, as ever in these situations, of all groups using their domestic and their international contacts to make their voice heard. And we certainly will be committed to doing our bit and more of it as the months go by.
Dear Doug, also while we were publishing this interview, there is on Cornwall in UK, G7 is going on. What would you like to say about the latest G7 summit? Very short, very briefly.
They should discuss clearly what Turkey's doing in the Kurdish regions and what it's seeking to do to the HDP, and they should immediately request that Turkey stops the invasion and that stops its attempts to ban a constitutional democratic party, and they should ensure that Turkey is not benefiting from the substantial arms trades and other subsidies which dare say America and the UK both use to fund and arm the Turkish state against innocent civilians.
Dear Doug Nicholls, General Federation of Trade Unions, General Secretary, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
Okay, all the best then, Erem.
Thank you.